10 years, it's not luck. Even when we down, I gotta get my pockets up. Everything we got, I'm needing more, it's not enough. When they see this shit, I swear I got them looking shook. I gotta.
Welcome to Relentless. I'm your host, Cole Maurer. It's good to be back with you. This podcast is all about the relentless pursuit of our lives in business, health, fitness, and more. I aim to be relentless in all things, and I'm here to share that with you. Welcome back. Welcome to the show. Anybody that's listening, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking the time. So, episode number 2. I'm really excited to record episode number 2. Today's episode is all about my recent mule deer trip. You may know from my YouTube channel, if you aren't on there, shout out to the channel. It's just my name, Cole Maurer, if you want to go check it out. But I've been preparing for a mule deer hunt, and I'm pleased to say that, pleased and also sad to say, because I have gone on that hunt. I have been there. I have done it. And sad because now it's over. I am not doing it. In a whole year it needs to pass until I do it again. So bittersweet. But the episode today is to talk about those things. Were there certain tools? Were there certain parts of my training program that helped me be the most successful? We're going to find out today in this very episode. So welcome back. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. First of all, I really just want to say how good it felt to be out on that mountain. You know, just a little bit of history for you. I grew up my entire life going hunting with my dad and his friends. And when I finally was of age, I think in Colorado at the time, you had to be 12 to get your hunter safety license. When I finally was 12, then I hunted with them. But it was a thing that as long as I can remember, my dad would take me hunting and go out and do that with them. And it was always like, it's very cherished and very fond memories. I have loved it since I was young. But my life took a left turn, and maybe someday on my podcast here we'll talk about that. But my life took a left turn when I got into my early teens, and my dad was no longer around, and I didn't have anybody. I didn't have that hunting friend, my dad and his friends anymore to hunt with. And as I got older, just some more life changes, more different things, I had not been able to hunt. Now, fast forward 15 years, and it's not that I hadn't been able, like I could have always done it, but so many things were going on, life was happening in so many different ways. I just didn't, and it wasn't a thing that I did. It was a lost part of me, just like my dad was a lost part of me at that point. And long story short, I had not hunted. Flash forward 15 years, I've had a bow. Let's see, I bought a Rain 6 Bowtech, which I've showed on the channel. I bought that like 8 years ago. So I think, oh my goodness, I don't know math. I hate doing public math because that's the worst for me. But let's see, 5 years ago was 2020, 10 years ago is 2015. So around 2017 area is when I bought that Rain 6. And I've had it, and my intention was to hunt, and I just didn't. I did not hunt. Money wise, time wise, whatever. I just didn't get out and do it, unfortunately. So fast forward to now, and I finally have gone out on my first hunt. And let's see, then now that I just did that math, 2015 is 10 years. It's almost 15 years, of time that I have not been hunting. So really excited, needless to say. It felt really good to go out on that mountain and to just be in the woods doing that pursuit. Something about it, it was different because I didn't have my dad, although I thought about him, and I didn't have his friends, and although I thought about them too. It was different. It was an adjustment doing it on my own. But nonetheless, it was good. I'm extremely grateful for it. I had a fabulous time. The weather was really pretty mild, great temperatures. It was over Labor Day weekend, which I'll tell you more about that. It was like Disneyland, it was a zoo up there. But yeah, it felt good. I'm grateful. And that's it. I just wanted to explain that as I started this because it was just a good time. And those of you that hunt might know the feeling. And those of you that don't, think of something else that you really enjoy or that's a nostalgic classic for you. It's kind of that feeling. But yeah, so I want to get into it a little bit. I want to tell you just a little bit about how the trip went. I also want to plug for you that on my YouTube channel, I did record it. Now, that was a whole crazy thing. Like, it was so hard to record everything as a solo individual hunting. Now, don't get me wrong, I've recorded stuff for a while. It's part of my job. I do it for YouTube and for these things. And I've done self-recording quite a bit. And when you're hiking or something, it's always an extra layer of difficult because you usually have to set it, hike forward or back, and then go back and get it. It's always a process. But with hunting, with the pack, with destinations, with loudness levels, like noise levels, I wasn't gonna do that. I wasn't gonna go crazy and like, oh, I'm gonna set this way over there. I'm gonna walk over here. So you see this awesome silhouetting, like great visual, and then I'm gonna walk way over there and get it. No, that was like extra energy, extra calories, extra burn. I decided not to do that. So it was a whole challenge to actually record. And that was a whole interesting thing that I should probably just do a video or a podcast on discussing because it's an interesting topic. And those of you that have done that sort of thing or that do that sort of thing, you kind of know how difficult it can be. So, that was a whole challenge. But to get that rant over with, I did record it as best I could. I unfortunately did not bring a good microphone. It's the one thing I forgot for my camera. And overall, praise God, I got lucky with the majority of it because it mostly worked out just fine without any issues. But there was a couple parts that the wind was blowing and you couldn't hear me at all over the wind. Like it was just wind and you just see my lips moving in the camera. So bummer, but that will be on the YouTube channel if you want to watch it. I should have that a day or two after this releases on the YouTube channel. So be sure to tune in and check that out if it's something that's interesting to you. But yeah, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the trip and how it went because it's just so exciting. I just really want to tell anybody, honestly, talk to anybody that knows me, and I'm a hunting fool right now. So I just wanted to share a quick little overview and then I'll dive into some of the best, most valuable things of my training that helped me on this hunt. So let's dive into the story a little bit. I was scheduled to be there for 5 days. I drove in on Saturday. I got there in the morning. I had to get a couple things. I don't know what I was thinking. I only grabbed a few waters. I had to go back and actually get some waters, get some supplies, and drive back down to do that. That's all in the episode because I needed more water. I need more supplies. I don't know what I was thinking, but I got that sorted out. I get there, I park. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, check out my Instagram. It'll be on screen now, but for anybody listening, it's Cole Maurer _. That's the tag, and that's COLEMAURER with the underscore sign at the end. But if you haven't seen on there, which most people haven't, I picked up a truck for this trip. I have a truck, but I'm going to be selling that truck. So in preparation for that, I bought another truck, and it's a F-250 97. I mean, OBS, like, just screams hunting, honestly. It felt so good to take it up there. It's a Power Stroke 7.3 liter diesel. It's got miles on it, 200,000 miles, but man, those things are reliable. They're good motors, and I'm hoping we picked a good one. And that was part of the test. I drove it up there to just find out. I took it out, and wanted to put it through its paces. I literally bought it from the person the day before Friday, and then I drove it all the way up to Flagstaff, 2.5 hours away, and off-roaded with it, and camped with it, and started it in the cold, and all those things which I had never known or done before with it. So it was all kind of risky, but it all worked out. The truck was great, but long story short, I took that truck, I parked it up this off-road Jeep trail, and I'm sitting here looking at this meadow. That's day one. That's when hunting began. I had just gotten all my gear situated. I got the broadheads on the arrows. I got my bino harness and my clothing all set up and ready to go. I'm ready to start. But my whole day that Saturday was planned on being just like a get ready day, get there day, and get prepared. So I hadn't had a hunting plan for that day, except for once I'm ready, I had a meadow that I was going to look at, which I was at, and I was going to sit there and glass it into the evening and see if I watched any, action with deer. So I ended up being there, and let me tell you, just to talk about some of the Labor Day shenanigans, it was Disneyland up there. Everybody was there. Dirt bikes, side by sides, hunters, few. I didn't see that many, but I did see some. Campers, like everybody, electric cars, Rivians, and all the stuff that comes up from the city in the week and just stays a night or two out there. So I was sitting in that glassing area and I saw a doe, the first animal I saw, and I was watching her. And I kid you not, a bicycle. There's a fire road right behind where she was at. She was in the meadow. There's some woods in between her and this road, and then there's this road. And this bicyclist is on that road and just goes right behind her. Not near her, but in the same path. And my point is that if I was hunting that doe, which I wasn't, I was going for a buck, but some people will go for does, and that's what they want to do, just to get meat in the freezer. And I'm telling you, if I was hunting that doe and it was perfect timing and I missed, like went over the top of her, or she ducked me or something when I shot, timing wise, that bicyclist could have been right behind her at the moment of that shot. And I mean, crazy things happen like that all the time. You hear those one-off freak stories, and that was eye-opening because it's like, wow, there's a lot of people around. That was extremely possible. And mind you, my hunting experience beforehand was never like that. I always hunted rifle, never with bow. And it was always around, like, hunters were there. It wasn't like an active zone where hikers and bikers and campers and things like that were. When you were there at that time of year, hunters were there. So, and they required blaze orange during that season. So you saw where hunters were, and not very often was it like a shot like that where, the possibility of hitting somebody was possible. So that was just a good lesson in the environment, the activities happening, but also in that old adage of like never shoot something without knowing what's behind it, So I'm sitting here, getting back to that. I apologize. Getting back to that, I'm sitting here and I'm glassing out and it feels good. Sun is setting. And at this moment is when I'm like, okay, now I've seen this area. There's activity with people. A side-by-side had pulled up in that same area. So I'm like, I know of another glassing knob that I had planned to go to. I'm going to go there. That's where I'm going to do my night. So I hike up this knob. I'm in this beautiful thing. I'm looking out to the west. I'm seeing the sunset. I'm looking at animals. And I see deer off in the distance, way off, a mile or 2 miles. And I'm like, okay, that's the only area I've seen animal with. I haven't had much luck anywhere else. I thought I maybe saw one buck, but I lost it as soon as I saw it. So I spent the whole night glassing there until dark. And with this area, there was so much road access that I had initially planned on, okay, I've got the pack on my back. I'm going to just hike gonna pick a spot to start, and then I'm gonna hike in from there after I spend the night. That was my plan. But after I saw where they were, and then I saw the road access, I'd be like, it was stupid to not bring my truck over there just in case I get an animal, or just in case I decide to move deeper from there. I mean, it just made sense to, if the road was so easy to get there, I might as well drive the truck over there. So I decided that night I'm gonna do that. I ended up getting over there. Took a while to find out where I was gonna be. The spots were a little bit hard to park where I could find one. And I ended up finding one. I crashed that night, and bright and early next morning, hunted. Didn't have a ton of action until about mid-morning. I had gotten up a big mountain, which was my plan to glass out from. And I'm coming over this ridge, and sure enough, I see 3 animals going on the side of the ridge. I'm pretty sure they heard me. I probably spooked them. They were at the top of this mountain. It was definitely around when they were bedded, and that's actually a mistake. I had been up there early in the morning, and that's when I found them. And I saw those 3 animals, and I quickly, because they were trotting off, not in a hurry, but they were moving. And I quickly pull up the binos. I look, sure enough, and I've been up there scouting once, and then now I've been glassing for a little bit. And sure enough, 3 bucks going across this little mountain as I get up there. And that was super encouraging, because I'm like, yes, there's bucks here. I found a couple. This is great. So I waited there. There was actually a pronghorn right off to my left. I waited there for a bit, and then I went onto the mountain that they had just kind of side-hilled and gone down. And I had planned on looking down on them, because it was a pretty steep mountain. I had planned on looking down on them. And when I got there was a lot of shrub, a lot of sage, and I could not actually see down, because it was one of those where went down slightly, and then as it got further, it was like a shelf and went down more. So it was like more dramatic after that sage. And that's where they had been. So I actually went down that area to see if I could still just glass them up. I wasn't planning on pursuing them, because I knew that that's not really the way that it works. Like, you don't just see one and all of a sudden we're chasing them, and then it's going to work out. You need to see where they go. You need to plan your execution. You need to see their behavior. You need to see what they like, where they're, learn them. And sometimes there's those, one-off case scenarios where it works out. Like, you just happen to pursue them by one little way, and then boom, there they are. And, here's the opportunity. That happens. But my plan really was to just find out. I wanted to learn more about them, glass them up, and just follow them through the day, I had not planned on putting a stock on them at all, because I was at the top of the mountain. My thermals were definitely going down at that point, which was a little miscalculation on my behalf when I initially set up the search. But it actually ended up working out, because I spotted those 3 bucks. I learned their behavior of where they were going, and long story short, I lost them in that moment. And then I had gone over glass for a while, and I went over this ridge, and I waited. And next thing I know, these pronghorn are running right over in front of me. Just came over the mountain, right in front of me about 20 yards, and stopped. So if I wanted a pronghorn, that was like the opportunity right there. There was even a bull with them, or not a bull. There was a buck with them. They stopped about 15 seconds. We stared at each other, and then they just took off again, kept going down the mountain. And the next thing you know, I hear a dirt bike coming over the ridge of the mountain, and that's what had spooked them over. And I'm looking at him. I even got it on camera, because I just filmed the pronghorn, and then I turned and I see him, and it's a dirt bike coming over. So that actually worked out in my favor, though, because shortly after I decided to walk. I'm like, the area's busted right here. Let me get to a different location. And I started to walk, and just on the right side of where that dirt biker was, another animal comes running over the ridge right in front of me, about 50 yards this time. And that was a 2-point, or however you want to say it, a 4-point total buck. Not a monster, a 4-point buck that actually comes over. He didn't stop at all in front of me. He just kept running down the mountain in front of me. And I got to watch him, and I watched where he went. I went that direction. I thought maybe I could just stalking shoes up closer to find out where he had gone and watch him more. But unfortunately, that those dirt bikers, they were right on my tail, and they actually took the same exact route as me and the buck. So it just made more noise. I ended up putting my shoes back on and then just hiking over the direction where the buck went. And I'm standing there, and I just happened to pull out the binos, look to my left, look down into this little meadow under a tree, and I see a buck bedded, and it was that same buck. And I'm like thinking, great, wow, this is amazing. It bedded. It just went over there. He didn't go far. He's not crazy spooked. So I decided to watch him there for a sec. Once I watched him, I decided to make a stalk on him. And long story short, I got to this part where there were trees in the way of me and him. And it was about 300 yards. That's where I initiated my stalk. And I couldn't see him anymore because of the trees. And that was intentional, so he didn't see me. And by the time I get to the point where I could see him, he was gone. He was never there. I didn't see where he went. I don't know what happened. I ended up seeing a hunter around that same time. I don't know what happened, but I might have scared him. The wind was in my favor, but I could have been loud. Who knows? So he ended up blown out. And my only plan that night was, okay, I'm going to go glass from the bottom of the mountain, opposite of what I should be doing again, but from the bottom of the mountain, I'm going to glass far away and see if they return to that same home that I spooked them out of this morning when I was up top there. And sure enough, I saw all of the deer grazing over to this little home base area. It was sage, pretty thick, rocky, shaly, shelfy, kind of like what they like. And they all were grazing over there. I see does, I see fawn, all of it coming over. And next thing I know, I see 2 bucks, small ones, smaller than that one I just pursued. And I'm like thinking, great, that's 2 of them. Maybe he'll come back, because he was definitely the biggest one. And maybe he'll come back. Sure enough, later that evening, still light out, he comes back. And I'm thinking, great, I've got a plan for tomorrow. I'm going to attack this tomorrow. I'm going to see if they're still there in the morning. I'll make a game plan. And I am pleased to tell you that when I woke up the next morning, I went to a similar spot. I glassed up. All 3 bucks were there. They just started munching, and I just watched them. I sat and watched them. I made a game plan of where I want to go. I ended up going higher up the mountain. I was like getting perpendicular. I was getting level to their elevation on the mountain. And I watched them. I was about 400 yards away. I crept into 300 yards and I watched them. I stayed there till like 11, 12 o'clock. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to start slowly creeping in with a stalk. I took the pack off. I took the shoes off. I put the sun hoodie on. I got some last minute drinks of water, and I set off onto my second stalk ever on a deer. 300 yards out, I could watch them. There was 3 deer, 3 bucks. 2 of them were a little bit more agitated. One was he was the bigger one. You could tell he's more mature. He wasn't very old, but he was more mature than these 2. And he was a little bit more calm, a little bit more solo, rogue kind of guy. And he bedded most of the time after he fed. These other 2 kept switching their beds and moving around. And they kept looking right in my direction. And honestly, it felt like to me on this hunt, their eyes were better than their other senses. Because I'm telling you, every time I moved, there was this one RoboCop buck that when I got done making my move, I'd get my binoculars back, and that dude is looking right at me. At least what it looks like in the binos. He's looking right at me. So I'm like, man, there's no way this buck's gonna bust me getting over there, because I have to get closer and he's gonna see me for sure. Luckily, him and that other younger buck, there was this ridge line that they were hanging out just on the side that I could see them on, and they decided to creep right over that ridge, just like they had done the day before with me, actually. The other one, the big one, thankfully, he stayed bedded by this big rock. He was happy there, content. When that they went over, I was like, game time. I don't have any other police checking me right now. I'm going to move in. And thankfully, the way this other buck bedded, there was a little boulder in front of him. He wasn't able to see my direction. And actually, I think he was bedded the opposite way, even. So I just crept in from 300. And when I got to 100, I could no longer see him. That's when I committed to, okay, I'm going to have to go up this and try to get a little flank on him, and I wouldn't be able to see him. And I made that flank slowly, patiently. Every bit of that stalk was slow because the Robocops before and because of the, distance now after, every bit of it was super slow. I get up to this first rock that I had mistaken for the rock that I had planned on viewing him from, and I couldn't see him. And then I'm like, okay, that's the wrong rock. I did some distances and I rechecked my pictures and everything. And I went to the next rock, which was the one I thought that I was supposed to go to, or that I had planned on going to that I just mistaken. And I kid you not, I get over there after, by this time it's like 2 o'clock or so. It was a couple hour stalk getting there. Like I took time doing it just to be patient and quiet. And I'm telling you, every single step, I'm like, there's no way this buck is there. He has heard me. I'm busted. He's gone. I thought that every single step. I just couldn't believe it. So I get onto this rock and I look out and I see the buck. He is in the same spot. He is bedded, faced away, and I'm just elated. I could not believe it. I thought the whole time he was going to be gone. He was not gone. He was right there. And now it was a waiting game. I could see a small section of his vitals, but I was not confident enough in my ability to hit those vitals. I did not take the shot right there. I had to wait for him to stand out of his bed. I initially had sat down on the ledge of this boulder because it was pretty high up there. And I just was there waiting with my hand on the bow. I had an arrow nocked and I'm just waiting. I had my release on my hand just ready to go. And I got to thinking, I'm like, man, I've never pulled the bow back sitting down. And I had just watched Elk Shape do a bow consultation with somebody and had him sit down. And if you can't pull the bow sitting down, then you're overbowed, like it's too much bow. So I try to give like a couple tester pulls, not like a full pull. I just want to see like, can I move this, while I'm sitting down? And I'm like, man, this is awkward. I think this could mess it up for me. I'm not gonna sit here. So I awkwardly stood back up and I made a little bit of noise doing that too. I'm surprised that he didn't hear that either. And I just stood. And then it was a waiting game. And I'm telling you, it was epic. I was like a side of the mountain, pretty steep. And big boulder sticking out where I'm at. Big boulder sticking out where he's at. He's just below it. And it was like a scene from a movie. I'm just sitting there. I saw him a couple times, like with his head, like look over, like, what's that? Interesting. Oh, in front of him. And I thought that he might stand when he did that. And so I pressed record on the cameras each time that he did that. He only did that twice. And then the next time he did it, he did stand. And I don't know what it was that he was interested in. I didn't see or hear anything. But he stood. And immediately when he stood, he turns to his right, which is my direction. And he looks right at me. And I had not moved yet. I had not drawn yet. I had not done anything because he just stood. I just hit the cameras. And it's like this steer off. And I knew if I moved an inch, I'd blow, my spot. I did not move. He kind of looked to his left, looked around, looked back at me. I still not drawn because I thought I was pretty well in his peripherals when he was doing that. And then the next time he did the same thing, took a little bit longer, but then he looked to his left, opposite of me. Right then I drew. And then he looks back at me. And when he looks back at me, I'm getting ready. I placed that. It was a 35-yard shot. I placed that in between my 30 and my 40. And to be honest, I should have taken more time on the shot. I did do some of my checks, but I was kind of in the moment. My adrenaline did not dump. I thought it would dump. It did not dump. And It just got me a little excited, but not like target panic. I didn't have an issue where I was like, I'm going to let it go. I did place it and plan on where it was going. But I should have taken more time on the shot. I thought he might move, like just take a couple steps and get, if he just took a couple steps in front of him, he'd be out of my shot. Like it was a small window. So I think that just got to my head and I let it go as soon as I felt right. And I hear smack wood, like it smacked something hard. And behind him was only dirt, shrubs, or a rock. So it did not sound like any of those elements. It sounded like something different. It sounded like smacked wood. And I was excited. I was like, I feel like I hit him. He goes off running down the mountain pretty quick at a good clip. And that was a little misleading too, because I thought, well, he's running kind of well. But anyways, I go over after that and just inspect the spot. It was only 35 yards away, so I just inspect the spot for an arrow. I cannot find an arrow anywhere. I did find a small bit of blood, and it was impossible to be any other animal's blood because there had been no other bucks in that area for at least 30 minutes, so that blood would have been dried up, and you know how blood gets after just a small amount of time of oxygen. So I was like, it's got to be his blood. It was small, no arrow. And then I waited there, looked around for the arrow, and it was time to go get my pack. I was going to give him time because I didn't want to just chase him down. So I went back, got my pack, and then I sat over there. I tried to download the footage. I rendered out the footage on my app on my phone so that I could view it. And I'm sitting there and viewing it. And then I go back, look for the arrow, can't find it. I make a plan of like how I shot him, where I shot him from. And I like just to visualize that so I could see the which way he ran and kind of try to follow a blood trail. Did not find any of that. And that was scary. I'm not going to lie to you. I could have swore I was like, I lost him and I either didn't hit him or I hit him and I just hurt him and I felt terrible. It didn't feel good. So I gave it time. I looked for the arrow. I made a plan in that small area looking for blood, looking for the direction he went. And I came up with nothing. So after some time, I just started hiking across the mountain laterally, not going down, not going up. And I was just looking down with my binoculars, trying to glass down the mountain. Hopefully he went into the flat areas. You know, that'd be great, but they never do that. Hopefully he was on the side of the mountain. I could glass him up and just see him. I couldn't see him. I went across the whole mountain. And then there was this little mini aspen village where I'd seen them coming out of. And I'm like, if he went anywhere, that's a little safe haven. Maybe he went in there. I can't have him go in there. It's too thick. I've got to kick him out if he went in there so that I can see him. Well, I went through there. I saw all the does, all the fawn, his 2 buck buddies, but not him. I did not see him. So I'm like, surely he's got to be on that mountain and he's got to be dead or hurting because these other ones are around. They're in their same patterns. He's nowhere in sight. It's just too weird. He's got to be. So then after I've gone all the way left on the mountain laterally, I decide to go down and then I'm coming back right so that I could look up the mountain now and glass the whole mountain that I just walked on to see if I could now see him better from the bottom. And once again, I could not see him. I did not see anything. A moving animal is a lot different story because even an ear twitch or just a head movement, those things catch your eyes. That's what tricks your eyes into, ooh, look there. But a dead animal, it's just there. It looks like a rock. You can't see it. It's not going to catch you. You got to diligently be looking for it. I couldn't see him. I was getting really worried. I got to this rock below where I was like, I'm going to sit there all night and I'm going to do the same game plan. See if they come back there. Maybe I didn't hit him. And actually, watching the footage by this point, I had thought I went over the back of him a little bit back on the body. And I thought I missed him. So I just thought, well, maybe he'll just return up there and we can make a game plan again and see what happens. And then my intuition had told me to watch for birds of prey the whole time. So I'd seen a couple. They'd circled slightly, but nothing distinct, or definitive. And When I was watching them, nothing really stuck out to me. But then as I was sitting there glassing, this final spot where I was going to watch them through the night, I see one bird of prey land on something on the mountain. And I look, I glass it, I see the bird. It looks like it's landed on a rock. And it flies away. It didn't do anything. It flew away. So I'm like, that's interesting. Maybe that's not it. I don't know. I started looking at that area. I could trick my mind into seeing a velvet antler, but it wasn't for sure. It just looked like one, but I couldn't tell. And then that bird, shortly later, I actually went and got some water, came back, and I saw that same bird land in the same spot. And then it pecked its beak at the body of this object. And if you're looking at that object and imagining it to be a deer, it pecked it pecked on the body in the area where I thought my arrow went, which was a little bit high and a little bit back. So it looked like the location where I thought an entry wound would have been, where he put his beak. He shortly flew off. And I'm thinking, that could be a deer right there. It really could be. I've got to go up there and check it out. I'm rocking Vortex 10 by 28s, I think they are. They are way underpowered. In fact, that was one of my biggest Achilles heels on this trip, as I could not glass well. I couldn't glass efficiently. I couldn't see. Even if you spotted one, it was a little iffy, and if you could even tell if they had antlers or not, when they in fact did have antlers. So I could not tell what this object was, but it looked like, and that intuition from the bird and all that stuff made me feel like it was a buck. So I make this trip, and it's 500 yards in front of me, but it's a 45-degree slope, basically straight up by the time you get to the base of it. And I made it up there. I get within 30 yards. I pull my binos out, and I am relieved and excited to tell you there was a buck right there. And that was, it was so exciting. It was very exciting. I was so grateful. I cannot tell you how many prayers before the shot and after the shot were spoken about not wasting a life and doing justice to these animals, and to get a good shot, a lethal shot, and to find this animal and to harvest this animal and get the food from this animal. So many prayers, and there it was in front of me, and it was exciting. I got up there, I took a few pictures, I sent text messages because I had updated my wife along the way about a couple things. And it's funny, she had just said, because I thought I told her I missed, and this is my first bow hunt ever. I kind of forgot to mention that, my first bow hunt ever. And she said rookie mistake in her text message because I thought I missed. And I sent her a text with like a selfie of me and the deer, and I said, or beginner's luck, because here it was, I got it. And there it began, the whole rest of the story. And I packed that, I ended up, field dressing that animal right there. And it went into the night, which is an odd feeling, by the way. I've been there before, but it's always an odd feeling. It's pitch black around you. All you have is this headlamp looking down at this animal, and you don't know what's around you, especially in grizzly country or whatever. I'm sure that can be a little bit nerve-wracking. I've never hunted in grizzly country. But you can't see anything around you because it's so pitch black. And when you look up, you still can't see except for what your headlamp illuminates, because your night vision, it's black with the depth of field that you have, like the amount of clarity you can see in that blackness is not well. You can only really see the light. So it's a weird feeling, but that's just a little side rant. I harvested that animal and I packed it all out in one go. I had the head, all my gear, all the meat. It was not a huge buck. It's not going to set any records at all. It is my buck, though. It is the first buck I ever got It has antlers on it. Like, I cannot believe it. If I wanted to shoot a doe, that was going to be a lot easier of a task. I ran into a few opportunities for that. But got the animal out. I ended my trip the next day, so it was 3 days instead of 5, which is bittersweet. It's good because it's quicker, but bad because now you're leaving, this sanctuary out here. And yeah, long story short, got it. I said that 3 times now. It's still a long story. But I got the game processed. I headed back down to Phoenix, and I just picked it up, actually. I got a picture coming from my Instagram for what's in my freezer. I just picked it up and got it. Not the head. That's still being taken care of. I have never done a gyro. After watching it on YouTube, it actually looks fairly easy. I think I could do it no problem. But in that moment, I asked the meat processor to help me, and they got me connected with the person that they actually delivered the head to, and they're doing a gyro for me on it. And it'll be in my garage, and I'll be proud of it. But that was the hunting trip in a long nutshell. If you're still here, God bless your heart. Thank you for this. I'll get better at podcasting, and everything will be better. But hey, maybe a little authenticity of how a person is when they're, doing something new might be intriguing to you, or might just be annoying. But that's the trip. I could not be more excited. The gratitude is very high. And let me tell you, the hunting bug is like here with a vengeance. I need to do it more. I am so excited. I've been doing archery ever since because that 35-yard shot, the whole time I kept thinking, there's no way I'm going to miss 35 yards. I feel confident in 35 yards when I pull a bow out. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to miss it. No way I'm going to miss it. And then I placed this shot, and thankfully, because of prayer, honestly, it lands and is a lethal shot. But it was not a great shot. I got very lucky, and I'm just blessed that God heard my prayer. If I get my prayer specifically before I let that shot off was, if I get an opportunity of a shot on this buck, let it be a lethal one or miss. Please do not let me hurt this animal for no reason. So thankfully God heard that prayer, as he always does. He is good in that way. And got that buck down, and that's the story. So let's take a little left-hand turn from there and talk into some of the best parts of my training program, or what I valued the most of my training program leading up to this hunt. So diving right into it, I think without a shadow of a doubt, and in fact, I am still feeling it from the ruck out, because my pack was probably like 120 pounds with gear in it, give or take. Leg days were by far the most valuable training tool that I did leading up to this, and specifically deadlifts and squats, because deadlifts gave me the raw strength to just pick up items like my big heavy backpack, but like also awkwardly get up with that backpack on you. Like just the strength of picking something up like a big heavy barbell, adjust your body to getting up out of those positions, picking things up, so I'm making gestures in the camera. You can't see it if you're listening, and you're lucky. But leg days, squats, like I had just gotten my squats higher in weight. There's still nothing to brag home about, but they're higher for me. And that was very helpful, because my legs are still feeling I still sort of have, like if I just did that flex on my leg right now, I still have a little bit of soreness in there, and it's a few days, like 4 days after. So yeah, the leg days were clutch, and if you're skipping leg day, you're missing out, because honestly, they are my favorite workouts. They're the hardest. They take the most out of me. They are the most effort, but they literally pay off. And plus, your legs are like your foundation. You need those things, and they really helped me between hiking around and carrying that ruck, and then packing this buck out. So leg days were clutch, and specifically those two exercises, the squat and the deadlift, which, nowadays they're all the rage. About squats and deadlifts. You do them, I'm sure. But if you're not, this is your call to do them. Everybody, any age, like if you are capable, like you're your body is fine, relatively speaking, you should be doing deadlifts. It's just a functional strength every single day. Like the likelihood that you're going to do some sort of curl or, some overhead press above you, less likely, but the likelihood you're going to stand from a squatting position or you're going to pick something up heavy, those happen a lot more regularly. So do those things. Leg days, that was number one. And those were my kind of main points about it. The next day is kind of goes without saying. I mean, the next thing kind of goes without saying is daily rucks. Getting used to that pack, the 40 pounds. And I think specifically I want to touch on if you're going to pack with your ruck on it, either A, have the right amount of weight on your pack that you would normally carry with it loaded out. So number one, take your pack, load it with all your stuff in it that you're going to take hunting, weigh it. Now you know that's 43 pounds or whatever it is. And I'm including water and food, have that in there. And then take all that out if you don't want to carry it with you and put 43 pounds of like a sandbag or an ice bag or something, or a salt bag in there and ruck with that so that you get used to your actual weight. What I did is everything in my pack was, safe in the heat. No like chocolates or different things that I would be worried about being in the pack. So I packed my pack fully of everything I was bringing, except for my snacks that I had planned. And I packed around everywhere with it. I do a pack around the house, like around my neighborhood. And then I do a hike up into this mountain called North Mountain in Arizona. It's like an 800 vertical hike up. It's nothing crazy, but it was about an hour and a half hike. And I do that commonly in the morning. I do the walks at night with just walks with my dog, but also I'd sometimes walk with my dog with the pack. And that was all extremely functional training to get used to walking around with that pack. Personally, if you don't like running, just ruck. I don't necessarily like running. I do run though, but rucking is easier for me. And I think that's actually harder to do calorically. Like you burn more calories with a ruck and it's a little bit easier on your body with a ruck than running. So if you don't like running, do that. It's a great thing to do. It gets you out in nature too. So daily rucks, that was clutch for me. Highly recommend it. And specifically, my tip for you is to do a practical weight, like what you're actually going to do. And then also, it does not hurt you to do a heavy ruck. And actually, I'd recommend it to do like an 80 or 100 pound ruck to get used to that. And you can start with that one just around the neighborhood so you're flat. And then if you get comfortable enough, you can go take it into the hills and see what that's like. So, ruck. Now, I think without a doubt, I saved the best for last. Like this actually led to the success of this hunt. And I am not dramatically stating that, I promise. It was the preparation I did with podcasts and with YouTube videos. I watched channels like Go Hunt, Hushin, Fresh Tracks with Randy Newberg, these different hunters, Cody Jacobson. I'm thinking of others. I can't think of them. I also listen to a lot of those same channels, podcasts, with their different episodes. And I specifically tried to listen or watch a little bit more mule deer stuff, but I did watch elk things too. And I'm telling you, I opened up my Notion, which, by the way, if you don't have Notion, get Notion. It's the best note-taking thing ever, and that's not sponsored, obviously. But I would open my Notion, and I would write down notes, like for mule deer specifically, for elk specifically, and then just for hunting, like general tips for hunting. And I would write down notes. And I'm telling you, the wealth of knowledge that is out there and experience that is out there, you are behooving yourself to not capitalize on that. And very much of their tips, especially the Go Hunt podcast with Brady and with Trail and what is it? Omar on there. They gave great tips. So many tips I use for the stock. So many tips I use for the actual approach. Just things that I think I would have totally messed up and learned like the hard way by doing it the wrong way had I not listened to those podcasts. So highly recommend. This may be undervalued for some. I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but you can get a lot from those. So highly recommend podcasts and videos in preparation for your hunt, not just to get excited about it, because yeah, it's fun to watch them and to, get ready too, but also pay attention to the things they do and say. And then since your memory is not always great, write it down so that you have that information. And then when you write it down, it actually locks it in more. So man, Go Hunt Podcast. I think it's called Big Hunt Guys. Check it out. That was a great podcast. And also, I've showed it on my YouTube channel before when I did the scouting. If you are not using a map software, or you're in between softwares, or you want a better software, you need to use the Go Hunt mapping software, because not only like OnX for $80 a year comes with the mapping software, and OnX is very good, but it does not give you any of the research, the data, the tips, the unit information, the this, the that, the animal information, the habitats, the creature information, all the stuff, the previous years, the AI overviews, the comments. Also, it goes over best practices given different units. It goes over 5 years of success history, so you can see percentage of success. I mean, the tool that you get from being an insider with Go Hunt, to me, is immense. Like, it is very big. It is hands down the best thing I've seen so far looking. And I would highly recommend that. That is not sponsored either. However, if you want to help me out, DM me. I'll get you some money off using a referral code, and then also I'll obviously get a benefit from the referral code. So DM me on Instagram. I'll get you my email, and then you can sign up for Go Hunt, and we can both benefit if you want to do that. But yeah, so that's that. Really cool. I highly recommend those podcasts, and those are my 3 biggest things that I valued the most from that trip. And honestly, I just want to encourage you to go out and just do anything you think is hard or that you might fail at. Because to conclude this episode, if you had asked me, and in fact, I told people before this hunt my thoughts on it, like my outlook, my optimism on it. I did not think I was going to be successful, because bow hunting is very hard, and everybody tells you it's very hard, and you see when you watch videos that it's very hard. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to see an animal close enough. Was one thing. I thought that'd be kind of challenging, but I'd maybe do it. But to actually stalk an animal, that I thought I would not be able to do. And then to actually get within bow range, I thought no chance. Very slim chance. And then actually to make a successful shot, I thought I was going to be looking at like a 60 or a 50 that I'd be pretty scared about yard-wise, like that distance. And I got within 35, and that was mind-blowing. I know it doesn't always go that way, but I do feel like the tips and practices that I got from those podcasts helped me achieve that. I really do. The patience, the application of those tips, everything. So yeah, go out and do something even though you might fail at it, because through failure, you will learn and get better. Everybody that hunted and has failed and that is a very successful hunter now, every single failure, this is obvious, every single failure taught them something else. Like when they did this or that on a stock, or when they approached this way or that, or, whatever, taught them something. And that led them to being the Cam Haineses, the Randy Newbergs, the Cody Jacobsons, the successful hunters that they are because of those failures. So don't be afraid to go out and do it and fail. When I started running every day, I told myself, I'm going to run and I'm going to give myself the opportunity to stop because I want this to be easy. I want this habit to be easy. I want to do it all the time. So I'm going to just run. And if I need to stop, I'm going to give myself the grace to stop so that I can keep this habit going and I don't get discouraged. It's funny because I've never stopped until I'm done with the run. I've never stopped. But I still give myself that opportunity because I want this habit to be easy. And I'm actually going to do a podcast about that because I was brought into these habits that I'm talking about and sharing with you by refreshing myself with Atomic Habits. So I'm going to talk about that book and what it meant to me and how it helped me as it does millions of people. And, if you want that or something, comment or whatever, and I'd be happy to make that. So do that hard thing, even though you'll fail at it, because it's going to lead to better things. Even if that's your outcome that you fail, you're going to have a breakthrough. You're going to have a success. That's going to fuel your fire, your passion. That's going to fuel you to push forward and continue to do that thing. And when you find something that you're passionate about like that, and not even passionate, but like you enjoy, something that's holistically good for you, that thing is going to mean a lot to you. And the more you do those things and find those things, because like you got to try it and fail to find it, the better you're going to be. And I'm finding that out myself. And I'm certainly not one to preach about it because I'm going through this journey just like anybody else who is listening to this might be going through this journey, or even worse off than somebody who is listening to this. So like where I've started from, or my mentality, or whatever. So that's all I've got for this episode. I think it was longer, but I mean, to be honest, selfishly, I really just want to share that hunting story with everybody. I know that it's maybe hard to follow. I'll get better at telling stories and doing, better at that. But it was fun to just say it. It was fun to just tell it. I hope somebody listens to it and it's encouraging to somebody. Not very high expectations, just one person. That'd be cool if it's important to you. So go out and do something hard. This has been the podcast. This has been Relentless. It's been a pleasure to be your host today. And I'm super thankful that you've been here. I aim to be relentless in everything that I do. And I just want you to stay relentless also. That's it. Peace.
What's up, Paul?
What the fuck? I've been at this 10 years, it's not luck. Even when we down, I gotta get my